Carlos, I mean, Carlos has been great because he's like a newspaper writer too. Like he's got his own website. Like he cares about freedom. Like we really align on a lot of this, and I like to work with people who are aligned in principle. So absolutely, I want this to be a community endeavor as it is so far. We kept kind of money out of the conversation with a lot of our events and stuff, and I kind of like that. Of course, we obviously are setting up the bank account, and we're going to do a lot of things together. But I like the fact that people are just coming together in the first place, and it's not like we're all like like businessy, like on a high end. I don't like that. I think we got to keep it community oriented. So I love this. I think it's beautiful. And I want to do the same thing for people. Is when they come to the place, I want to give them free plants. I want to show them how to grow food, and it should be a free thing like this. Giving people food and stuff. We should have so much abundance in this earth that we shouldn't have to pay for all these things. I mean, at a certain point, that should be the goal.
Well, you've just hit on the point there. It was because the first trader or the first commercial trade was made when there was so much abundance that somebody decided to hoard. Say, hey, there's so much of this stuff. Let me hoard it around here, so when there isn't enough, I can sell it at a better price. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm all with that. In an abundant situation, just the mercantile aspect of food in particular kind of dissolves if we all have abundance.
Yeah.
Surround.
Well, I also think not only is abundance important, but the food has to be nutritional, and we've lost that in most of the food that people are currently eating. So if we can get back to nature and what was originally intended, I think there's amazing health benefits on top of just keeping a tummy full and stuff. So yeah, I'm
totally, and that starts with having good soil. There's where the plants draw their life. So you're all familiar with your location. And this picture here is really interesting because it shows the clearing areas, the areas by the shed there. That's that you can see there's less trees, and then that other area towards the entrance where the food forest would be located is also kind of free of trees. There's a little more detail there of where those 4 lots are. And it's 4 parcels of 4.83 acres, and this is intended for everybody. So I'm going through some markers that both Ryan and Corey know. And the south part of the river, Pichla Saskoti, and we will refer to it as Coatee River from now on, is the conservation area, and should be left pristine. So these are some really important markers that you will be familiar with. The average yearly precipitation, the hottest months from June to August through September, actually. Mm-hmm. The wettest month is July, and the annual precipitation about 50 inches. This is really important, the 240 to 274 days of sunshine. So there's a lot of sun, which is great. And then you have to also look at the time when it's really cold in January, February, and December, especially looking out for frost. And I say that because frost may be a factor for plants, and you'll learn how to protect yourself against that, or protect the plant, All right, so you are in a area where they call it Adamsville Fine Sand. It's somewhat poorly drained, not prime farmland, and it also is part of the Chobe soils, which are very poorly drained, and there typically is surface layers, black and very dark gray, fine sandy loam. And it's interesting that they are a product of the Gulf Coast lowlands, which were made by soils of river floodplains. through those Gulf Coast lands. This is interesting, Ryan, because it points to a place not very close to you, but it's our super fun site of the area, of the zone. It's here by the Anchorage, that yellow dot there, and it's Stouffer Chemical in Tarpon Springs. So everybody out there, don't swim in that little anchorage place.
Okay. Unless you want to grow extra limbs.
Right. Exactly. All right, so we have the FEMA flood hazard area, and that's not a surprise for us, and that's one of the factors that we should know in advance, and know that we might have to mitigate for this. And there are some mitigating solutions that I'm proposing. So there's the 4 lots, the 2 areas, those 2 rectangles are right in the middle of Zone A. And then also a regulatory floodway, as well as being on a riparian zone. So those are items that we need to know. And if you want to find those definitions, go back to this and you can click on those links there, and you can read the definitions of those riparian zones and regulatory floodways. But basically, they should be left alone. And modified as minimally as possible, especially around the river area, which is a diagonal through your property.
Yeah.
So this is my design.
Nice.
It's a sketch, and it includes a list of plants for the general areas.
Look at that. It's amazing.
Yep.
He worked on this over the course of what, Carlos? How long did this take you to create?
Carlos.
This was, what was it, Corey? Maybe 2 months. But I kind of cranked there towards the end. I mean, I could have done it in less time if this was all I was doing.
No, that's yeah, but this is incredible, man. You got a lot of geometry in here.
Yes, and we're going to be talking about that, but this includes a tea library or tea center and library with an exterior gathering area.
Nice. The
food forest with its tree guilds and understory layers. There are
a Bigfoot sculpture. Which, Ryan, just so you know, I did not tell him to add that in, okay? It's really pretty and all that. I'm like...
Listen, I'm learning. When he's in, and he's spared no expense.
Yeah, let me show you the next slide, which is a little close up to that without the plants. So you see here my cursor here. This area here was what I came up with towards the end. You know, I did of this area in the back here. I did the raised bed annual garden first.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know where that is because you told me.
And so
that's where his previous garden is.
You would need an access road or an easement to the back, because that back area is where Ryan said he would like to have that double deck. Airbnb retreat center that could be rented out or that could be used for workshops, etc. So that's what this is, and it's equipped with its solar panel, so it should be self-sufficient, and a water tank. But this is an important item that you need to do like a little easement, and I think part of it is already there. You just have to kind of work that access road to the back. Why? Because
Sure.
you're going to be moving trucks and stuff while you build this, and then when it's done, you want visitors or clients to be able to drive to the back,
Sure.
right? So while I was thinking of that access road, I said, well, what about this area? I mean, you guys wanted some parking and stuff. But I said, wow, I mean, using only parking in this area is kind of a waste. So I thought that it would be magnificent for a kind of a loop, right? As you enter and exit the property. And then in the center, you could have a herb spiral, right? With the Bigfoot sculpture in the middle, kind of up.
Nice.
And then these spikes, or in between these spikes, are different fields that I propose a number of plants for them. And then there's, a tree here in the corner and some other trees on the side. And there is still some space for parking right here. And a protected zone over here that eventually could be used for either more parking or a workshop area or more animal stuff right here in this area. So
That's where my chickens are now.
Oh, you moved them?
No, they're right there. Because that's the garage right to your left, right, with your cursor, and they are
This is the shed, and then this is where that.
Yeah. Yep. No, that's where the chickens are over there. I have a whole fenced-in area.
Chickens are right here, right?
Where's your cursor? I can't see your cursor. It's like. No. The chickens are. That's where the garden is that I built with the greenhouse, and then on the other side of the garage or shed or whatever we're calling it is the cooped-in area, which should still be behind your wheel, your drive around.
Oh well, you've done some new stuff because I didn't see your greenhouse.
It's in that general area. I'm just saying, it's in that general area. Yeah.
All right. So it includes a bunch of trees here in the back. This back area right here. Do you see the cursor?
I do now. Yeah. It's just it's the hardest. I can barely see it on the screen. Plus, I'm going to be 50 next year.
You're on the phone. You're on the phone.
Yeah.
Don't blame your age.
Here. Yeah.
Right,
it's just the truth.
These trees here in the back are the trees in the back are wet foot tolerant trees.
Nice.
Meaning that if the Coatee River here floods,
Yeah.
they stand a much better chance of surviving. All of these trees.
Nice.
The raised garden, which is what I'm proposing, raised bed keyhole garden, can be constructed in two phases. You do this initial phase in this central area, and then a second phase, this outer area.
Mm-hmm.
And that, if it's raised, and I have some ideas of how to do that efficiently, you would be protected against water there too. So those are my two mitigating solutions for this area. And if you do a ground level annual situation over here with the same design, I wouldn't say it works, because if it floods, goodbye, your annuals are goodbye, bye. All right, so moving on, you have your house over here, and I've added a solar panel and a rain tank. All the
Thank you. Things we need.
That's perfect.
And then across the access road, we have a huge open space here, which I think, and here, which I think is the privacy of the main house.
There was talks of putting a pond there. There's a bench over there, like one small little bench near that area, and we were thinking of making a pond that kind of goes in.
Yeah, I saw that in one of the videos. Now I have an objection to that.
Sure.
I mean, I am all for the pond, and I've located the pond way over here. You saw where I put the pond up here?
Right. I know, I trust you, because I'm sure you know this stuff better than us, for sure.
Why did I put the pond up there and not over here?
Probably something to do with flooding.
Okay, look at this corner right here. See this corner of the river, the Coatee River?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
My educated estimate is when the river is overflowing with water and going north-south, right? Oops, what happened there? Oh, I have to go back, sorry. So when the river's going north-south on that bend right there, right? This bend.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what happens? I mean, logic and physics would say that bend there, that corner, that elbow, the water will want to exit in that point.
Yep.
Rather than in a more in a softer.
I see.
It'll move in a straight line.
Right over here, there's a softer curve, right?
Yeah.
Here, there's an elbow. The water rushing through here will accumulate and want to spill right in here. How much you want to bet?
No, that's what it did with the big storm. That's what it did.
So, my mitigating. So, we're talking about the pond. So, what if you have a pond here?
Yeah, we won't.
You're exposing not only the pond to being flooded, but you are disturbing the river. This river will want to expand and engulf the pond.
I see.
And you will have disturbed the river and lost your investment.
Mm-hmm.
So my suggestion is move the pond further away up towards the road.
Yeah, and plus that will probably look nicer too for visitors.
It'll look nicer as you enter the road. You know, you have that pond there, with surrounded by plants and ground covers. And
beautiful.
Stone.
Yeah, I love this. I mean, Ryan, you let me know, but I like the design. It's very intricate. And just so you know, he's got like 6 minutes or so before he's got to go.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. This is Carlos. This is so wonderful. Like, if I had $1 million, I would just give you half of it.
So let me keep going. Let me keep moving. Right. Let me keep moving.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about it's including the tea center and library, and this area right over here is going to act as a barrier for the water, as well as this area right here, which will act as a sponge for the water. And let me see if we can get that far. But so when I visited, we identified the key areas, and this is one of the key areas.
Did you like the idea of cutting down those palm trees?
Okay, so very good question. I mean, that's a really hard one, and I won't say so. You guys are gonna have to come up with the yes or no. But if we're gonna plant a sizable food forest there, which is what the design kind of points at, close to 30 trees, main trees, with their understories and everything. So I'd start the clearing, and I don't have to be there, see the arrows, see all these Florida palm trees.
Yeah.
Florida palm tree, Florida palm tree, Florida palm tree. All those, I'm sorry, will have to be repurposed.
Well, everybody agreed on that too, the other designers, so you're not the only one. I wanted to get your opinion on that.
Yeah, that's a key. A key word is repurpose. What do I mean by that? The bark of these Florida palms, if you have a chainsaw and know how to use it, you dice it, and they're like 4-inch deep dicing of the bark, all of them, and you're gonna put those on the floor, creating a big mat with each dice of those. Did I make myself clear there?
Yeah.
What is that doing? That's
Chopping drop.
A barrier, and if you could mulch over that, even better. But it's providing a barrier there for your nutrients to remain on the top of the soil, and you're creating some organic matter there for the soil. And then the palms up there, you would place on top of that. So you're gonna create like a mosaic, a mat of
Brown, green, brown.
of dices, with the trunks once you've diced them. But there you go. The how and the details of every step require one presentation alone. So we won't stay with that for too long.
Sure.
The problem of this area are those oaks. And there I say we have to keep all the oaks. We can't take
everybody agrees on that.
So my plan, my beautiful diagram, will have to be modified and adapted to how many of those oaks are there and where they are. So this is just for you to get dizzy a little bit. And we identify again the clear spaces. That's what we're doing here. I'll show you the clear spaces coming up. And you see Lindy Lane here coming in. And there you begin to see a little opening right here. See that opening right there? That's a little clear area. And then right over here is another clear area. Right. And there's the tea library, by the way. Another photo of the other areas that are very sunny, and this would be ideal for that raised bed keyhole garden. Brian sounds like he has other ideas, and I respect that.
No. All I have to do is redesign the garden to be the keyhole. That's not a real problem.
He wants that. He wants this to be a garden.
Yeah, I would love to have fresh vegetables and all that too. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And then there's another picture there of all those oaks. See how many oaks there's there?
Yeah, we do have a lot. But they're beautiful. All that black walnut. We've got tons of black walnut and pine and
Yeah, those big trees, I wouldn't cut them right off the bat, and we'll just have to work with them, and see what we can work into the design.
Sure.
With the oaks. I've seen some people prune oaks, and especially if there's some like limbs that don't have much going on. You can prune them, and the oak will come back reinvigorated with new growth
Nice.
in a more controlled, smaller area. But that's also another how that requires technique. So I started with the seed of life, and that one oak that Corey and I remember. Corey, we kind of said, oh, this is like the main oak that we should consider. That's that one circle there with green.
All right.
And that is a sacred geometry that I've used to create this template. And I believe strongly that it might have an impact on the overall health of the plants.
Yeah, we do too.
And also it distributes space more ergonomically. So it satisfies both of those items. And you see the picture of the seed of life. That is the same diagram that I've drawn there. And that one cube there is where the tea center and library is located, which we also established was there where the fire pit was, right?
Yep.
So how did I come up with where and how?
Wow.
There are two parallel lines in the one
Seed of life.
Yeah, that you gave me, and those two parallel lines go from Lindy Lane, one to the edge of your house, and that's 357 feet, and then the other parallel line goes from Lindy Lane all the way to the edge of the shed, and 259 feet.
Huh.
So I averaged that, and that is 358. So from the center of that seat of life to the center of the yin yang circle over there, it's 358. And you'll see how that yin yang circle plays a part in finding or finding the spot for the raised key whole garden.
Okay.
So then let me ask you this: guess what that line, that diagonal line, which you don't see the top goes to the corner of the plot of the lot, to that single bend there in the I guess that's the eastern side of the river. See how where the arrow is? Guess how much that is?
I'm going with 358.
Exactly.
Perfect.
All right. So 358 divided by 4 is 89.7. And we see the tetrahedra that I've drawn with 89.7.
Wow.
Listen. I am incredibly bummed I have to go. This is so spectacular. I honestly, I'll call you guys from the airport, but that will be like 2 hours from now. So I know we can't do that.
Oh, good.
But
do you want to mute yourself and just like get ready and listen to us like a podcast?
Yeah, I've got to jump in the shower too. So I'll shut the camera off and mute. But I will 100%. This is so. Like I'd cry if I wasn't so busy, man. This is so beautiful, Carlos. I can feel your love. So just thank you. And but yeah, and I apologize. It's just my
life. Bon voyage, and I think Corey's recording it, so
yes, I am.
You'll get to see it.
Yeah, well, plus I want to see the whole presentation itself. That's ridiculous.
And show the wife, show like the family, like it's crazy.
Yeah. So I don't know how to mute or shut anything off, so I got to figure that out.
Just hit the camera button and then the mute button. Yep, you did the camera. And hit the microphone button. There you go. You're good. You got it.
I'm just letting you know I can still hear you, and it's awesome, and I'm listening. Love you guys. I love you guys.
Thank you, Ryan.
All right. Good trip. Have a good trip.
He's always traveling. It's crazy. He knows all these like conferences and stuff. I'm like, I don't even know that many conferences.
Wow.
He was just at a Bigfoot conference in Florida. I'm like, they don't have these many freedom conferences for me to go to.
Really? A Bigfoot conference? Oh my
God. They're like everywhere. It's crazy. He's totally dialed in. Anyways, I absolutely love this, and I can't wait to share this around. So, people are going to be so impressed. And we got to make sure we get volunteers. We got to make sure we advertise for, like, say we're doing a chainsaw thing. I mean, Ryan would probably, like, ready to do it himself. But, I want to, like, advertise in advance if we have to do a certain project and step by step. I'm not sure how much we want to do, like, the constant stacking of wood chips and stuff, because we might be using Pat Miletich and, like, his whole thing that will rejuvenate the soil very quickly. But I'm assuming doing both of those will probably benefit each other. So
yeah, the more the merrier. And I was going to suggest you actually bought some soil too.
Okay. Yeah, sure. We're gonna get we have the whole bank account getting set up. So
when you're ready to put the trees in, I would buy a truckload of soil, because that composting that you started off now is really going to be done like next December or January. It'll be decomposed and ready to go.
Sure.
But okay, that's another house. See how the houses are more intricate? And we'll talk about those, of course. So here is I've drawn the equilateral triangle there, with a quarter of the distance of those two lines, 89.7, and they mark pretty much exactly where the T Center and library would be. See how it's going exactly in the middle of that?
Sure.
And then if you draw these lines towards the middle of that outdoor gathering space, you end up with a tetrahedra.
Hmm.
And that is empowering too. So you have a little tetrahedra pyramid. Let's call virtually there, and you can see the oak that I used for reference in the outer circle. So that kind of describes where I got those numbers from and how those proportions came to be inside the seed of life. But I'd also like to show you in this slide here where it says sponge. This is one of my mitigating solutions for the possibility of a flood in that corner, in that elbow. Let's call that elbow of the Cody River. And that is to plant several rows in that elbow form. So they're like half moons as panning outwards. And I put 5 layers there, but at least 5 layers of shrubs, berries, and bushes. And what that's going to do is act as a sponge in the case of a catastrophic flood, which you already had one, so you shouldn't have one for another 100 years. But in the case you did have one, that would act as a sponge, and the root system would wash the water downwards before it entered that field.
Wow.
So it has. We're stacking functions there. There would be edibles.
Beautiful.
In the bushes and the shrubs, and we're mitigating the possibility of a flood in that area. This other area in the back, I think there's a better slide to explain. Let's just stick to berries and bushes here. I've also listed a number of berries and bushes that would work really nice here.
Yummy.
And they all have links.
Nice. I think we actually have a common elderberry in our backyard. I didn't know I had that in my backyard.
Good. This one, for example, is a Suriname cherry.
Yes, I think I've had those. One of the food forests I've toured.
Excellent. So every berry.
Those are good.
Has a little link. Wild blueberries.
Ooh, wild blueberries. So not just blueberries, but wild blueberries. Those grow in the ground, don't they? Or
yeah.
Yeah, those are healthier than regular blueberries.
There's a muscadine one here. 9 wild berries in Florida. So
I love blueberries and grapes. This is my area.
Yeah, all these links are really your place to go to. If you're wanting to select something, do come to this PowerPoint before you start looking at your own.
I use this for everything. Kidding me?
All right, so the canopy layer.
Almond? No shot.
Well, this is not a definite list either. You can add or take away.
I want to add a cocoa plum.
Cocoa plum is in another one. I added the cocoa plum in another list.
Oh, nice.
It's a little smaller. It's a little smaller than these taller ones.
Cool.
And so like the loquat tree,
Mm-hmm.
And the black locust tree, those are like real big ones. So you might want to put these big ones in the outer skirts rather than inside of this.
Okay. They're not labeled on the map exactly. They're just kind of referenced.
Because we still have to look at the oaks.
Oh, okay.
I mean, this is all going to kind of slightly change once you've decided to keep all those oaks.
Mm-hmm.
If we had nothing there, then I'd say, okay, we'll do this here, do that there. But it really depends on what you clear, and then we can look at this again. And
well, I think we're keeping all the oaks and just clearing everything else.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
So it's going to limit some of this design, or not limit, but we'll modify it. It'll be integrated into this design.
Okay, so I'll have to keep you up to date as to things we do. I'm sure you'll see it too.
Yeah, and I'd like to go see once you've cleared.
Yeah.
while you're
Well, I'm probably
clearing.
gonna. I mean, I want to get your approval before we do things too, so we go according to the design, at least as
Uh-huh.
much as possible, so we don't screw up something like that we're not supposed to screw up.
Well, I'd be glad to comment and provide you with suggestions but ultimately it's you and Ryan are the ones that will decide on
Well,
much
because
of
I
this.
think we want to follow this, as much as we can.
Yeah, I agree. So this is another detail of that back area there with the wet feet tolerant trees. And here I've used the moringa and the acacia tree several times.
Wow, I never
Those
say those
are
right.
really good tree. Especially the acacia is a nitrogen fixer and it's got really deep roots too. So it's a they call a pioneer tree in that they will nurture and prepare the land. And the moringa tree is one of the most healthy and nutritious trees.
Yeah,
Moringa tree.
yeah, we know that for sure. We already have one in a pot just waiting to be planted.
Beautiful. Those moringa trees are just awesome. And then I've also included here the clumping dwarf bamboo, and it's important that if you go with the bamboo, not to use the running bamboos because they're invasive, but use these clumping bamboos, which are just lovely, and they don't invade, so you can keep them to a certain area. They are flood tolerant, and you can use them for a number of things to do baskets,
Where
do
would you get
structures.
bamboo? Like online, like a site like this, or because I always asked farmers like, could I propagate it, and they said I don't know.
Oh well, then you buy shoots from here, and you can also eat the shoots. When they're young, you can eat the shoots of the bamboo. Right here, a 6-inch wide shoot clump is $84. So
Huh?
you can shop around for that. But what
Yeah.
trying to tell you is to get the clumping ones, and this dwarf Chinese fern bamboo is a really good one.
Mm.
And what's this musa banana and platano tree? The platano tree will take some water too, and it gives you beautiful platanos.
Never heard of it.
Platanos is like plantains.
Okay.
If you try plantains, you fry
Yeah.
them, or you can put them in the oven.
Nice.
So we're gonna move on. Every link, you can look through all these links. So here is the sub canopy, and you see the lines, and I've only done 2 of them, but
Cocoa plum.
what's that?
Cocoa plum. I see it.
I see. Yeah,
I love cocoa plum.
cocoa plums there, and then this area in the bottom here, behind the tea library, tea center. This area right here, is also going to have to act as not only a privacy barrier, a food area, but also a flood barrier, and that's why the bamboos are here. And there's certain acacias in this area as well,
Mm.
plátano as well. But these are the sub canopy trees, and there's the cocoa plum.
Do you think maybe we should mark these areas on the land using like something to mark it, so we know where everything
Yeah.
goes?
Yes, that's another how, and I was going to get to that.
Okay. I'll let you keep going then.
So anyway, these slides just kind of demonstrate the steps and the intricate drawings that I did to come up with the final design. The understory is once you've placed the trees, then there's approximately like a 10-foot to 20-foot diameter around the tree where you're going to place the smaller tree. And then in between the trees, in that 20-foot diameter, you're going to do all these understory layer tree gills. And there's so many good ones there, but these are a few of my favorite. Comfrey, of course, which is a dynamic accumulator and really important. Comfrey should be in all the tree gills. This one right here is Comfrey. I'll click on Comfrey here. And by the way, all these links are related to how it works here in Florida. Here's the Comfrey. So you want Comfrey in every tree guild. And here's another really good one too, and that's the butterfly pea.
Yeah, that's one of Jim Gale likes that one, and Mexican sunflower.
Butterfly pea.
Oh wait, but that's butterfly pea is also used for matcha, blue matcha.
And it's a nitrogen fixer. A nitrogen.
Nice.
So you want that nitrogen fixer there, along with the comfrey in all of the understory layers. If that's all you did was comfrey and the sweet potato and that butterfly pea, I mean, that's already huge. You know, if you start with just that.
Yeah.
But there are some other understories that I know we want to be heavy on the visual design. And for example, this top one here, yellow flower, is the dwarf Ayamanda. And it's just incredibly, it's a bush, kind of bushy, and it's a small shrub, but it's really, really beautiful, and it gives these yellow flowers all year round. So that's a favorite too. But then there's other ones, you know, the pigeon peas are really important too, and they're also nitrogen fixers. The beans are nitrogen fixers. Cassava does real well here. Turmeric and ginger. The stinging nettle is also really important. It's a dynamic accumulator.
Oh gosh, stinging nettle. Just don't step on it.
Yes, just don't step on it or handle it. But it's very fragrant, and the butterflies just really love it.
Nice. Yeah, we want a lot of butterflies.
Are poisonous though. So we have a number of dwarf trees that would work too, along with the smaller trees around your tree guilds. And we have a long list of these, and we do have some citrics like this one that would work. Be mindful that some citric plants here are attacked by the citrus virus here in Florida, but these do well. These are like tangelos, mandarins.
Could we grow pomelos?
Pomelos, I think you can, yes.
Okay.
That was the Arctic Frost Satsuma, but here's another one. The mandarin does well here and is not attacked by that citrus virus. And a number of other ones too, including some crab apples and plums. There's really a whole lot of stuff that you can grow there. And that's what my job has been, to find in that recipe of which are the best plants that will work together and are best suited for the environment and the climate that you're in. And
yeah, isn't it funny? Black Tartarian Tartarian, like as if Tartaria, the place. I don't know if that's like connected to that, but it's kind of interesting why it's called that.
There it is. Look, it's kind of a small tree.
I've never heard of most of those plants, by the way. I mean, obviously,
it's a cherry, It's
Yeah.
like a cherry, and very flavored. Those are really flavorful.
Nice.
It's a summer fruit, and it's drought tolerant. That's what I'm telling you. You know, these are plants
Nice.
that are supposed to do well in these very harsh conditions, with poor soil, poor drainage soil,
Got
and
you.
heat of the summer. All right, so the keyhole sun garden.
Nice.
Like I say, you could do the
Stone?
inner circle, which is not exactly a circle, but you could that inner design.
We use stone like that?
Say again?
Do we use stone like in the picture?
Well, that's again another how question,
Okay.
and we have to investigate. I put a picture there. That stone works really nice. I like that.
I know, it's
stone.
really pretty.
I wish we would be able to bring in some clay.
Huh.
I don't know if that's too expensive or a possibility, but we could do like mud walls,
Okay.
and with stone. Yeah,
Interesting.
that would hold real well. But again, that's a how question.
Okay.
There's another way of doing it with straw bales. You could do them with cinder block.
Nah, it's not as pretty.
I know, it's not as pretty. Yeah. So these two examples there are made with stone, and here's where hugelkultur would work with for us, because remember, hugelkultur means German a mountain or a mound, or a hill or a mound.
Sure.
Excuse me. And so here we're planting like in a little mound. So beneath our raised beds, we would do a layer of barks, large pieces of wood, large pieces of trunks that we find,
Mm-hmm.
and you would put those in the bottom. Let's say in the bottom 10 inches, or in the bottom 12 inches. So that'll give you a layer in the bottom. And that's another how question that I don't want to answer in a rush here, but hugelkultur would work here in the raised beds. So how did I connect the yin yang? Remember I talked about that how I got
Yes.
that yin yang 358 feet from this point right over here, I think it was.
Yep.
So the part of that seed of life, one of the trees does a perfect diagonal through the center of the keyhole garden and into one of the eyes of the yin yang, and then over to the center and to one of the sides of the Airbnb. So it's just kind of cool to see how they're all related. And how they kind of complement each other, if you will. So the keyhole garden, I extracted from the yin yang circle, and if you notice this hole right here, see my cursor?
Yeah.
Is the whole of the white yin yang section. See the yin yang?
Oh, I
here?
see.
Black, there's a circle.
Yeah.
And then the white, there's a circle too in the middle of yin yang, is this part of the keyhole.
Mm-hmm.
So the keyhole garden is the same circle, but translated in this line towards this area. And it might have to be moved a little bit towards this fence here to allow for this easement to be more of an easement and less of a stretch.
I'll be leaving in a few minutes. I'll say bye to you though.
Hey Ryan,
I love you.
you're
Go ahead.
unmuted.
Thought I was gonna steal it. I love
Hey,
you,
Ryan.
but I'm gonna miss you.
You're unmuted.
All right, so also here, Corey, is a list of all the animals.
1 second, Carlos. Let's try to tell him he's unmuted. Oh, there we go. Okay, never mind. We're good. Go ahead.
Cool. So I have a list of animals, and that's not it. animals, you can have, a lot of them. And, just lettuces. You have so many varieties of lettuces. Mustards, you have varieties of mustards. Carrots, you have varieties of carrots. Same with spinach.
Nice.
Malabar spinach. I know of several varieties.
Right.
Eggplant too. There's several varieties.
You're right.
So the list is this is just a comprehensive list.
Yeah, it's just a template.
Yeah, one of my favorites, of course, is nasturtiums. And they are just so good, and you can put them anywhere. They don't have to be in that animal raised garden. You can put them everywhere, and all they take is a little bit of shade. And I still have nasturtiums in my plot, and it's already going on May.
Yeah, the food that you brought to us, like your tomato, and that was like everything was so good. It was insane. But also, like, I'm curious, is there ground cover when it comes to these annual beds, or like, you have to like do weeding on this aspect? I mean, it's okay if there's some maintenance with this.
No, I mean the weeds will try to come up anyway, everywhere. Mm-hmm. The more you build soil, the more unwelcome visitors you will get, because everybody wants to join in on the party. Hey, we got good soil here. Good place to put them. Yeah. And the birds bring seeds from everywhere, and the wind too. So weeding is just an ongoing situation, but you mitigate or mitigate that with many techniques. And here's another how too. In the raised garden, like, I don't have any weeds. I mean, yesterday I pulled 3 weeds, and that's been like 4 months since I pulled the last 3 weeds, and these were like really small ones.
Nice.
Why? Because I mulch. I use ground covers. At some point I used cardboard.
So in the annual bed, you do that too.
You do that too.
Gotcha. I know it was a dumb question, but I wanted to just check in.
You do that too, but in a very short time, you'll have nothing left, because all the good plants, or all the plants you intend to grow, will take over. And a weed needs sun, for example, and if you have your entire garden full of plants all year round, it won't let that seed prosper.
Yeah.
And
if we make a website, I want to put you like on the website, be like main designer.
I do mean all year round, and I'm proof of that. My garden is edible and full of life all year round. Now, does it take work? Does it take care and maintenance? Yeah. So you do as much as you want to do, and if you don't want to be out there weeding, what you do is you use seedless straw bale or melaleuca mulch, and cover the say in the summertime when it's hot and lettuce doesn't grow, and most of the animals don't grow, or 90% of the animals won't grow. You cover it with some good mulch, and let that soil sit there until September, when you start your season again. Or you can use peanuts to there's different things you can do, and I'd be glad to. I think I'm an expert in animals in Florida animals at this point.
Nice, man. Yeah, this is beautiful.
And also, there's
nice.
Raised beds.
I'm not a fan of the cinder blocks, but the other stuff looks really nice, and I even like the wood. It looks like a bamboo or logs.
Wood, yeah, like the railroad pine wood.
Yeah, I like the one on the right. That it's like smoothed out wood below that. Yeah, that one. I like that one a lot.
It does look like kind of bamboo-ish, but it won't be bamboo, because bamboo will. Water will go through it, and you won't have any more bamboo left. And
yeah, no, I'd rather do the stone wall if it's the best option. Honestly, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, the stone wall, like this top one. See this top one here?
Yeah.
If we got some mud there's some techniques to create this same thing, and then with bottles, you can reinforce it with bottles and make this decoration along the sides.
Mm.
This website over here has some options that you might want to look at. You know, they're ugly. They may be ugly as hell, but they'll work. And this is one point I have for you that you might want to put on your list of to-dos or one of your goals is to have an annual garden going in late September. So you don't want to miss this growing season that's coming, right? Otherwise, you'll have to wait until 2026 for the season.
So you're saying the goal is this September, have it done by the end or the beginning?
The end of September.
The end of September.
But maybe you don't have time to do all of it. So you do just the first circle.
Interesting.
Or maybe you don't have the money to, do the first circle. You buy one of these things, and
I see.
Those are all items that you have to brainstorm and think carefully, but with the goal of, hey, I'd like to have at least this reduced annual garden, so that we already have an annual garden going.
And from your expertise, what's the best option for walls? Is it the stone in the mud?
Yeah, I do stone and mud, and maybe a part concrete. So you mix part. You get some sawdust, mud, and a little bit of concrete, and you mix that together.
Interesting.
And then use chicken wire, and then have either stones or some bottles, and it can be done. But again, I'll illustrate when
the time comes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
we
there
can
are
do that.
people that have expertise in that respect as well that you might want to hire.
I do know someone, I think, who works with mud architecture, so I could reach out to him. But there I see camellia, nice tea. Ooh.
Yeah, so the homegrown teas can be either located in the annual, because guess what? Those trees will go through the summer. A lot of them will. The mint will actually take over if you let it. The lemongrass also does well during the summer, but you can also use that circle that I call open space, where my cursor is, as the area where you want to cultivate most of your homegrown teas. And over here, the UFAS extension of the University of Florida has really good information about the teas that grow best here in Florida. And I think it's important that you might want to do this or that, but the tried and proven crops for Florida are a good way of guaranteeing success in the short run. Not that you won't run into failure or corrections as you go, but you want to point in the direction of success. And there's your Camellias sinensis.
Yes, I'm addicted to that plant.
All right, I'll click on that one. And yeah, that's a really good one for this area. And the tea is great.
I want to see if we can make matcha, but I know it's a very strict process in Japan. It's more than just tea, so we'll see in time.
Yeah, and here's the fields that I was talking about, where you can grow trees, but you can also grow a number of other things that will thrive through the summer, like amaranth.
Now, where is this? Are we looking at for field zone 2?
This is this field.
Okay,
right,
that.
where the sculpture in the center is the Bigfoot sculpture. Then
Got
we
it.
have the herb spiral, and then we have that wheel with the spokes. which I'm calling field. It's really like a zone 2 permaculture. And okra grows well in the summer. The sun hemp grows real well in the summer.
Yeah, people want that. That's one that people
plant.
mention.
The tea plants will grow through the summer. And then all these spinaches here, longevity, sisu. The sisu spinach I want to show you. This is a must. And all of this is edible. All of that is edible. And
Nice.
through the summer, you say, oh, I have no more lettuces through the summer. Oh, yeah? Well, here you go. You can have salads through
Nice.
the summer
Love that.
using all those spinaches. And this sisu spinach is a Brazilian spinach. And it grows with shoots. And you can eat it raw, you can eat it sauteed, and it creates a wonderful and very tolerant and resistant ground cover. Make a note there because you can use these everywhere,
Interesting.
and they're edible, completely edible.
Wow.
Those
Got to get that. Even for my backyard, got to get that.
Yeah.
I don't know
So
how to
we
get,
have-
but like my question is always how to get these things because usually I propagate a lot from other places. Have to probably go in some sort of marketplace online or something.
Well, I have some. Well, I don't. My neighbor plot has some sisu spinach. Maybe I can get from her.
Oh wow, okay.
Then this one's a really good one too. The boko boko spinach, and the boko boko spinach is from Ghana, and it's so nutritious.
Yeah.
Come on. So nutritious. It also is real good for a number of ailments, including hepatitis. It's an immune booster.
Wow.
And once it starts going, it will go. And look at all the stuff that it has.
Nice. Wow.
And the leaves actually can soothe skin inflammations. So I think one thing for you guys to consider as a source of income too is the herbs, using herbs for wellness, and trying to market some of the herbs that we're going to have can be easily marketed for I think the times that are coming ahead, people are gravitating towards all those other more Eastern and herbal approaches to illness. So if you have either a tea, a brew, or the actual herb, that could be a source of income as well.
Very nice.
Amaranth. Amaranth is a really good source of protein, and it grows through the summer. Oh, this connection is not private. And so you have to go through all of these. We would spend a while here looking at everything.
Yes.
This katuk plant is really interesting. It's a shrub.
Awesome.
It's edible. Okay, so we'll move on. And here's some examples of herb spirals here again.
Oh, wow.
How we have to talk about that. And there are a bunch of herbs that you can include in there. And
Okay.
all of these have medical value.
I like the spiral idea. Very nice.
And you put the Bigfoot sculpture right in the middle of it, on a pedestal.
Okay.
But look, of all these that I see, anise is medical herb.
Yeah, it is.
We have fennel as well. Lavender can be used for calming. The sage can be used for calming.
Yep. Thanksgiving
tarragon,
spice.
Tarragon you could use for your tea.
Anise is very good too for all
Yeah,
the infection
right.
stuff.
Yeah. Yes, sir. So there
Cilantro
might
for
be.
heavy metal detoxification. Yeah.
I think that's a really valuable skill to have too. If, if we could become experts in medical solutions
I want to
using.
bring practitioners on site if we can fit in some small pavilions at some point on the land. I want that to be practice spaces, but in time.
Yeah. So ground covers and flowers,
Nice. We definitely want flowers.
and you had asked the question of, does the blueprint have where the flowers and
Hmm.
all the ground covers are going to go? And the answer to that is, well, that all depends on the edges.
Okay.
And the tree guilds will provide you with all the edges that you're looking for.
Mm.
And once you've established where the edges are, and the edges is where the understory ends underneath the tree guild, you're going to fit in pathways. You don't start with the pathways because you don't know where things are going to go. And finally,
Okay.
you kind of look at where you're walking and figure out, well, this is going to be the pathway. And we have such a beautiful design that it's kind of easy to figure out where the pathways are going to go. But eventually, you don't want to be stepping on the soil. You want to be using the pathways.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you want to be stepping on the soil? Because one of the worst things you can do is compacting the soil.
Now for pathways, and I was going to ask that as a question. You have roads that are detailed essentially like on the map, right? But they're not roads right now. They're kind of just like dirt roads in a way. I don't know if we should fill in those roads, make it look nicer. Do we use sawdust for these paths? Because I know that was a discussion. I wanted something soft on people's feet. It could be either ground cover or some sort of sawdust, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, either one, or pavers or stones, or
I don't want stones. No, I want soft.
Yeah, the
Maybe
the
some stones.
sawdust would work, or actually even the sand itself would work as well.
Yeah, because you got to think about the fact there's going to be kids, right? So you
The
don't want them to get
sand,
hurt.
you could leave the sand and do margins made of stone, so you can tell where the path is. But my point is that for you to know where the flowers are going to go, you have to know where the edges are.
Okay.
That's my point. And that might be one of the last things you'll find out.
Okay.
Because say you put in the trees, but the first part of putting in the trees is putting in a protective circle around it so that the deer won't get to it. Deer love brand new shoots from fruit trees. So in that first phase, while the trees are being established, your walkways are going to be quite different. As you come to the tree and you assist the tree, as you change things, then once you remove that protective barrier, then the understories come in. So again, the when and how here, I'd be glad to help you out with. But
Sure.
my point again is the flowers will be on the edges of whatever there is. If you get the pond in, for example, that's one where you have a beautiful clear edge where you could put stones, flowers, shrubs. I wanted to point out here to a couple of these. This one over here in kind of violet is the sweet alyssum. The flowers are edible, and it's actually it's from the brassica family, so it's related to the lettuces, and you can eat the flowers of this plant, and it's so beautiful. And it's kind of like a ground cover. It doesn't grow more than 12 inches.
Nice.
Then I also wanted to make note of this. This one over here is a perennial peanut, the yellow one.
Okay.
And that will spread really quickly. And it is a nitrogen fixer, a perennial peanut. So nitrogen fixer, so you can't go wrong with that. And you can create a whole field with that perennial peanut.
Okay. My friends didn't. What I heard from some designer friends is that they didn't like perennial peanut. They prefer sunshine mimosa, but I trust your judgment on that.
Yeah. Well, sunshine mimosa is not a nitrogen fixer, and this one is.
Nice.
So, then the mimosa is an invasive.
Mm.
This one isn't.
I see. I think it's easier just for them to do probably designs, to do installs.
The mimosa's pretty. We have some mimosa at the garden, and believe me, it wants to take over everything. and to take that thing out of where you don't want it, that's labor intensive.
Okay. Yeah, I see.
I do not recommend it.
Got it.
It's beautiful. It might work for a small patch, by the doorway or somewhere, where you can control it. It'll work. But in the field, like I'm showing you,
no, I trust your judgment for sure.
It'll take over the entire compound. Then there's other ground covers that are more ornamental, like this sea lavender, and it kind of it'll work real well in sandy soil, and it's drought tolerant, and it's kind of like this sculpture. It's very sculpture-y. See how it forms like little sculpture.
Yeah, that's nice.
As the leaves dry, they form like a little spark, and so that they can be very monumental. So these are items that you can put like in the back of areas, just to create a sense of depth, and put lower plants in front of it, so you have different layers. The whole flower thing is something you have to look in real detail, and it's like, at the end when you decide to paint the house, everything's done and you're painting the house now. Okay, that's the flower part. Maybe the ground covers could come in before then.
I see. Yeah, probably.
And there's some other ones there, like the sea purslane. It's also edible. And, of course, the native wildflowers, which are also proven and tried for this weather. And this is a Florida Wildflower Foundation, where you can get seeds and all kinds of information.
Sounds good.
Mushrooms is another source of income that I would encourage you guys to explore.
Yeah. We were thinking of getting a trailer or some sort of indoor thing, potentially.
That could work. But you could also have like a stack of logs, old oaks that are lying around here and there, and make a little stack and inoculate them in a shady place. Octagonal structures, I have some websites there that I encourage you to go look at, especially this geophilia one, which was provided to me by that fella on what's his name?
Dallas Bitcoiner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one that I kind of like there.
He's definitely big into design for building, so we'll definitely consult with him about this.
So a structure about this size would work.
Yeah, that looks nice.
And the insides are so beautiful. And then this other one, which is a little more mobile as well.
Looks nice.
So those links are there for you to explore. Here's some yurts. I like that yurt in the bottom left. It's a nice one.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of modern design, so You know.
Right. There are some other structures, and here's another point that I'd like to make. That why get a fixed structure when you can get a mobile structure?
Yeah. Well, isn't it your isn't fixed and permanent?
There's a flood, coming your way, and you guys don't want to, risk your investment. You drive your bus away.
Right.
There are beautiful converted buses that could be an excellent tea center with kitchens included, and you'd be really hip. Let's go to the bus tea library center.
And then you can go to events with that too. That'd be pretty sick, actually.
That would be sick. And guess what? If it's gonna flood, you turn the motor on and you drive it to your parents, and you're out of,
Yeah, I try not to get too overwhelmed with all these details, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
So, and there's also tiny homes on wheels, which could work too. There's the Tesla tiny home on wheels, and that top one on the top right corner is a Bucky Fuller structure. It doesn't look too pretty, but see the one I mean?
Yep.
Okay, and so all your structures should have the rain tanks for rain catchment and solar panels, trying to satisfy the self-sufficiency in the design, biogas digester for when you're ready, or if you want to include it from the get-go. We did kind of look at this last time.
Biogas digester on the building, you're saying, right?
Well, it would be one for the entire compound.
Wait, so what does it do? Does it help the soil or the plants, or?
No, it gives you methane for your cooking.
Okay, so it's a source of energy. Got it.
It's for your cooking. So we looked at the steps in the sign, and we've done quite a bit of observation. Mostly you guys, I haven't done, and I have broken one of the permaculture foundations, which is that you have to be at the site and have prolonged observation before you do a design. But I've gone along with it, given that we don't have the opportunities to spend time at the site as much as I'd like to. I do want to go visit. So, but you guys have been there and have been observing this. So it's a collective observation in this case, and I think we've done quite a bit of that already.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Things to observe are wind, sun, the wildlife, the birds. Visioning, I think, is where you are strongest. And you've done plenty of that. Planning, we still have some planning to do.
Yeah.
And this is a start in that planning.
Big step.
I don't think this is the final design.
No. Maybe not.
Maybe it isn't, or maybe there's parts of it, or some of it. Hopefully, a lot of it can be included. But then you have to ask yourself, well, how will I make it happen? And those how questions we'll have to do a separate multiple appointments for.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I want to do with this, based on the how, right? Based on what we have so far, is we have the bank account that is being set up, right? And then I could let all the people who want to channel funds or anybody who wants to support this project and be a part of it, they can go, with this bank account. We'll be very transparent with it, and they'll watch this seminar and they'll see the different things we can do, and such as setting up the annual bed, perhaps, very soon, like you said, before the end of September. So that sets us up for a goal, that sets us up for an action plan, and that also sets us up to start growing all sorts of things.
Absolutely.
And
Can
then
I go to the next slide before you continue, because you're
Sure.
right on target? And
Yeah,
that's
go
what
ahead.
I'm going to.
Go ahead.
It's the implementation. How do we install
Beautiful.
the project? And I've come up with like 8 first steps.
Wow.
And
Nice. That's
they're
perfect.
they're not absolute, and they can be amended. And the first one, you're already on course with the soil building and composting.
Nice.
And mulching, but as we spoke earlier, I think you should consider and see if you can buy a big truck of soil, not for everything, but for the trees.
Okay.
I don't know how many square foot that is and how much that would cost, but that would accelerate the installment of the food forest.
I think that's where Pat Miletich comes in. So that will probably be step one. It's the bank account investors, they watch this video, they're caught up. We say, all right, Pat Miletich, let's show his products here and let's put it in action. He goes around the nation helping people build soil. He's like, yeah, we can totally convert the sand, and he do it very quickly. So definitely 1 and 2. But I don't know if we should clear the trees first. So maybe 2 should be.
No. Soil building is ongoing and doesn't depend on anything else.
Okay.
Any of the other work. Actually, you're going to continue doing that.
Yeah, I mean, we already have some mulch on the property, but we're going to keep getting more and keep working on it.
And eventually, or soon enough, maybe behind the annual area, you'll have a composting area where you will be composting stuff for everything year round for the years to come. So that might be one thing to consider as you build soil. Well, let's think of where our final composting site will be. In the meantime, what you're doing is fine. And so the clearing area and the repurposing of trees, I think we all agree that the Florida palms can be repurposed, or at least most of them. The ones on the periphery and across the road can be saved, as long as they're not covering the sun in the 4 o'clock and 9 o'clock, 9 in the morning and 4 o'clock p.m. Times. And then look really careful at those oaks, because there may be an oak or two that are not doing too well that could be sacrificed or repurposed,
Okay.
So the first thing would be to go there with either make little strips of something you can mark, or a little bit of paint, and identify all those Florida palms that are going to come down. And I was hoping to make a visit first week of May, and I could help you do that.
Okay.
If you have all the materials.
Well, I have to go to Texas on the first week of May, but it could be after.
Or the second week, maybe.
Yeah, second week, for sure.
And so that will be the how there then is to get a chainsaw and somebody who knows how to work.
Yeah, Ryan does.
And clear the trees that are coming down. You have to be very careful. I wouldn't invite anybody to that, Corey.
Yeah, I know. Ryan's good with the chainsaw.
You risk, accidents. The fewer people involved in that, the better. And they have to kind of know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then I'll when you're ready to do that, I can explain perhaps better in situ. If I'm there with you, I can explain the technique of dicing them and using them to cover the soil.
Yeah, and I would love for you to be featured in more videos.
All right. So then once you've cleared the area, and we're gonna mark the area according to this template, or not. It's really up to you. but I think this template is beautiful, and we should try to make it work.
How do you want to mark it? Using like paint or something else?
Well, it's pretty easy to mark if I'm not going to go back to that, or maybe I should. I'll go back to.
Just say, we get pat miltage, we restore the soil, we got all this stuff set up. All right, we clear out the trees. Okay, now we're ready to mark. How do we mark it? Just trying to visualize it.
Okay, so here we are, right? We're ready to mark. 89 feet from Lindy Lane. Yeah. We'd have to measure 89 feet into this and make a perpendicular line to where you want that T-center, or where we said that T-center would be.
Mm-hmm. I'm saying okay, so we can do the measurements, but how do we actually physically mark it? Like with what?
Right, but first you have to have these measurements. So
yes.
Once you've had these lines to know where everything here goes in the seed of life template, then you get these stacks with little strips of tore down cloth or little flaggy things that they use to mark.
Yeah, that's fine. I didn't know how you wanted to do it because I didn't want to for me, paint is kind of mean.
Don't use don't use paint.
Yeah, plus it's good. It'll get messy, and I'd rather not use that. So, thank you.
Yeah, so you would use stacks with a little marker on top of the stack, or stakes. Stakes. Forgive my English.
Yeah, we've been using that too, actually, already. So sounds good.
So you use 2 foot tall stakes so you can see them. With a little flag on them, right?
Yeah.
And you can be creative there. And so what we'll do is, with those measurements, try to replicate this template.
Sounds good.
And this template is built so that it optimizes the drip lines of every tree and allows for an understory and for a sub-canopy. It wasn't just done because it's nice.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So with these measurements, I think we'd have a really close approximation of how this diagram will work.
Mm-hmm.
And did that kind of answer your question?
Yep. Yes, it did.
And that would be certainly a fun part of the process. So once we've marked the area and you've bought the fruit trees, hopefully by then.
Yep. That would be a good time to buy them. Yep. Start getting the gills together.
And you have the truck load of dirt, good dirt.
Mm-hmm. Which Pat might have already did with us in the first steps, but yes.
Okay. Then before you put in the trees, you have the stakes with the flag.
Yep.
You know where the tree's gonna go.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can install the irrigation line.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I don't know much about that, but we'll have to.
That's another big how.
Right. When we get there, I think after step 4 is kind of we got to consult again about that for sure.
Right, but that's before you put the tree in.
Yeah. Okay.
Then once that's done and you've tried it, of course, see if it works, you install the trees. And for that occasion, it's a wonderful celebration. You can bring community and friends, and that's a pretty easy how. You have to do a huge hole, and I'll be glad to give you all the steps of the how there. But the May through October window is the best to put in the trees.
Okay.
Because of the rain. You want all that rain to help the tree get started.
Mm-hmm.
And
I believe we can probably get this done pretty soon. So it depends on really, investors, the bank account, and just getting that together, honestly. So, yeah.
Yeah, and the clearing and the marking. Give yourself, I think, at least 2 months to get to the point where you have the fruit trees bought, and 2 months is pronto for all that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I live in the flow. There's a lot of projects going on, but yeah, absolutely. This is a perfect to-do list, by the way. So
be realistic and
this, by the way, we've been going on for an hour and 30 minutes, just so you have reference.
Oh my god! So where do I buy the fruit trees? A lot of the links that I gave you have links to where you can buy them, or you can get them from friends, etc. All right, so also the access road to the south end, that easement has to be at least 15 to 20 foot wide. That's something that you have to put in before you do the herb spiral, before you do the keyhole, the annual raised bed, because that's going to bring some movement of, I don't know what it is, but you want to have that done before you do the finer structures in the area.
All good.
So then we get to structures, which include the tea center, that Airbnb in the back. If I were you guys, I would tear down that shed and do an entirely new workshop, outdoor corridor, kitchen, and learning area. Do it twice the size, and so this is a lot of homework. You have to sit down with somebody that can design that for you. I can't.
All good. By then, we'll have I think a lot more momentum.
Great.
Like I said, after step 5 is all like we need to get back together and consult.
And then there's the T center structure that you have to brainstorm. You can
of course.
A reconstructed bus for it.
Yeah.
Which I think would be great. I really do. Or something mobile, etc. Then there's the keyhole annual raised bed, which I think is going to be kind of tight to fit that in before the end of September. But you could start with that inner circle of the raised bed and leave the herb spiral for later. The herb spiral can wait. You want to have your lettuces going, by November and December.
Mm-hmm.
All your brassicas. The herb spiral will emerge, once that's all taken care of. And in the meantime, you have time to figure out how you're going to do the spiral and what. What else was I going to say there? So yeah, the keyhole garden, I think we could start with the inner circle, and then next year you could do the outer circle. Unfortunately, the annual raised bed is not going to be a animal-friendly area.
Yeah, well, I have a question though. Can't the annual raised bed, I know it's number 8, but can't that also be like around number 3, number 4? I mean, you can get that started soon, right?
Yeah, but what you can do before you actually build it, you can move the chicken. I don't know if you did already. Move that chicken pen out of their pen, and I don't know if that fencing that he has there can be repurposed or used again. You will have to fence the herb spiral. I mean the keyhole annual raised bed. You're gonna have to fence it in, because otherwise our friendly animals will eat all our food.
Yeah, I mean there's already a fence there. We just have to shape it accordingly.
Yeah. So around the keyhole raised bed, you'll put a fence, a nice fence, and on that fence you can use passion fruit. You can use nasturtiums, or you can use any climber. So it'll be a beautiful...
But you think this should be done all after the whole buying fruit trees and stuff? Because that's a whole separate area. I mean, I figured...
I know. It just depends on your resources, Corey. I mean,
okay.
there are two separate projects here.
Yeah, that is true.
With
I just figured the raised bed people might want that first, because
access road being, something you want to do before you get to there.
okay,
I think.
yeah, you'll have to explain or show the access road what you mean by that exactly, but
The access road was. Do you want me to show you?
just the visual, just for the people watching.
The access road
Pretty sure I know what you're talking about.
is the easement to the back. See that easement to the back?
Okay, so you want to? I mean, there's already a path, but you wanted to make it more of a road.
Yeah, you probably just have to get some guys there to make it 15 feet wide and make sure that a car can get through there. That's what I mean.
Okay, thank you.
Eventually some gravel would be nice, because if it rains, my car won't be able to get in or out of your place.
I understand.
So, yeah, you could do that inner circle of the raised bed for the first year and still use a fence around it, right? So the fence will be placed such that it allows for the second ring or the second circle.
Yeah.
If you will.
All right, great. Let's continue. I don't want the recording to be too long for the folks listening, but
All right, sorry, folks.
no, you're good. You're good.
So we've got a list of plants, another list of plants. There are many lists of plants out there for Florida, and this is an expert here from Totally Crazy Easy Florida Gardening. These are all my resources
Nice.
with links to them, and my contact.
Great. Yeah, I'm definitely going to share that too. Do you mind if I share this publicly as a video or just within the community?
No, please.
Okay. Awesome.
And thank you all for listening, and we've.
And if people want to contact you for a similar type of design, are you open to doing that, or like paid service or something?
We can talk about all those options, and you can find me on those websites and on X at Cuellar Brown.
Awesome. Great stuff. Thank you, Carlos.
I'm excited that you're excited.
Yes.